criminal shot dead after armed robbery. India offers to help with 2022 polls. And positive move for food security and good nutrition.
This is the National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening, this is Wednesday's news. Thanks for your company. But first, an open-back food delivery truck from Lamana Hotel overturned en route to APEC House, where a conference was being held today. The truck rolled once, spilling all the food onto staff in the vehicle and on the ground. The driver and 2 other staff trapped in the front seat were later rescued. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured. Michelle Stephen was at the accident site after attending the conference at APEC House.
This morning turned out to be a very bad morning for this food truck. It was believed the truck driver had no time to rest because he was working a tight shift from yesterday to this morning. Luckily, these officers from the Papua New Guinea Royal Constabulary Mobile Squad Unit were the first to arrive at the scene. They helped the 3 staff who were in the front seat, one of whom was a woman. She was pulled out of the overturned delivery truck's window. Scattered all over the roadside were containers and trays of fried chicken, pork, a variety of fruits and vegetables, and soup that was supposed to be delivered to a nearby event. Most of the hot soup and oil spilled onto the 5 men who were minding the food while they were being transported to the venue. Eyewitnesses said they were lucky not to have sustained more serious injuries.
Karem kamu sekarang enam kam le itim side blow pavement is like break time hit him time probably driver might sleep because I will walk continuously since Astana. Time hit him this I'm not time stay I'm late so I'm coming full momentum na speed so time hit him this one side I'm kirab na I'm karem just 1 plow over 10 I'm just slide kamu se mogara lines tapan tape mol kapside gorang no car lucky yosem no one black sim bagarap I'm overall put on a good playground, so all right. But I think all just small several injury, only scratch, no bruises, no skin blow.
All of the staff received minor injuries, but only 1 man broke his nose and mouth when he jumped out of the vehicle. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
St. John Ambulance has been forced to reduce its Central Province operations. This decision was reached by the National St. John Council following a delay by the national government to release its funding allocation of 10 million kina for St. John Ambulance. The chair of the council, Madame Jean Kekedo, is now asking the National Department of Planning and Monitoring to release the funding as soon as possible. She said the council appreciates the commitment by Health Minister Sir Pukatemo last year to include St. John Ambulance in this year's budget, but they need the first quarter funds to be released to sustain the ambulance operations. St. John has remained operational in the last 7 months because of donor support from businesses and the community, but it has come to a point where this is no longer sustainable. Kujip Nazarene Hospital was officially declared to the Jiwaka Provincial Health Authority by Health Minister Sir Pukatemo on Monday. This is the first of its kind in Papua New Guinea for a church-run hospital to transform into a provincial hospital. It was exceptional for Jiwaka Province since it is a new province and former Kujip Nazarene Hospital is the only level 4 hospital in the province.
Health Minister Sir Pukatemo officially declared Kujip Nazarene Hospital as Jiwaka General Hospital. He also declared the Provincial Health Authority and presided over the swearing-in of the PHA board members. It was witnessed by Jiwaka Governor Dr. William Tongamp. Governor Tongamp has invested close to 9 million kina in the last 6 years from the Provincial Services Improvement Program funds to support health sectors in the new province to provide quality healthcare service.
the establishment of the Jiwaka Provincial Health Authority, and it will be my pleasure to formally announce that the Kujip Hospital will now become the Jiwaka Provincial General Hospital.
Kujip Nazarene Hospital is the 14th to be declared a provincial health authority under the national government's reform plan through the National Health Department to create health authorities in all the provincial hospitals for better health care. This means that all the health services in the province will be managed by the Provincial Health Authority.
In the public institutions, they know that they have a hospital to run, and when rural health run, they have rural health to run. To come in one body, we need to orient the staff.
Jiwaka Provincial Hospital will still be co-managed by the Nazarene Health Services. According to the Memorandum of Understanding, Nazarene Health Services do not want government interference on appointment processes and other operational areas. Jiwaka Province has 104 health facilities, half of which are operational and functioning, while the other half have already closed due to various reasons. Jiwaka Provincial Hospital has a reputation of providing quality healthcare services to most of Highlands region for the last 40 years and is still providing it.
Both come in place. One decision all making.
The province's major challenge is to secure enough funding to renovate established health services and run down staff houses. Like other district health services in the country, health centers and clinics need their own ambulance and vehicles as well as more staff to work. Health centers, sub-health centers, 8 posts. The Jiwaka provincial government is working tirelessly to make funds available for the PHA to function effectively. They are also in dialogue for the National Health Department to fast-track the Jiwaka Transit Medical Store and for partners to assist with an ambulance. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The Bundi Komba Festival has received 30,000 kina from the Tourism Promotion Authority after being staged for 2 consecutive years without any outside support. Tomorrow, more than 20 motorbike riders from the Simbu Bikers Association will depart Kundiawa town for Bundi to signal the arrival of the 2019 Bundi Komba Festival, which runs from April 2nd to April 4th, 2019. The festival is a melting pot of unique and diverse cultures from the 4 land-bordering provinces of Chimbu, Eastern Highlands, Jiwaka and Metang, and will host more than 12 cultural dancing groups with more than 1,000 visitors over the 3 days. The bikers will be accompanied by a local film crew to produce a video promoting adventure and cultural tourism potential in the land of 100 mountains. A small business owner in Goroka has called on provincial governments to construct large buildings that can house PNG-owned SMEs rent-free until their business become profitable. Tony Basse, whose family started Ultimate Furniture in Goroka in 2016, said shop space rentals are the biggest obstacle to small businesses making monthly incomes of up to 3,000 kina.
The story of Ultimate Furniture is a typical tale of SMEs in Papua New Guinea, where a business is built from scratch with savings from a family. Ultimate Furniture pretty much followed the script. They started buying equipment at least 3 years before they began in 2016.
Well, we decided to go into upholstery because of my little brother. He was a professionally trained upholsterer, and he worked for Pacific Foam for over 10 years. He's been producing furniture for that firm. And realizing that, he's been, with the potential he has, he could only prosper and market his skills on his own.
EMTV followed the encouraging developments, and by 2017, the business looked good. They had begun renting a space for a showroom, but then the elections happened and business was hit hard by the lack of sales.
For the furniture business, we're operating at the lowest, is around 2,500 for a product. So not many people can just walk in with a 2,500 to buy anything.
Tony Basse and his family then decided to return to where they started to rebuild their resources.
For us, there's so much potential. where we can step up, we can create more employment for many technical students who are just graduating.
Tony Bus's company's story is the same as many other SMEs who can't pay rent in prime locations because it's too expensive. In towns like Goroka, the average rental cost per month is between 3,000 and 10,000 kina. It is simply unaffordable for startups like Ultimate Furniture.
And if you don't make a sale for a month, the rental itself will actually put you out of business.
As an SME owner, Tony is now calling on provincial governments to build shops to encourage SME growth. He says SMEs should be allowed to operate for at least 5 years rent-free until they become financially stable. Financing remains one of the biggest obstacles for SMEs in Papua New Guinea. The banks don't really want to lend, government help is limited, but the political rhetoric for Papua New Guinean-owned businesses and job creation continues in a country where the vast majority of the retail sector is controlled by foreigners. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Goroka.
PNG Customs has successfully completed the rollout of the automated system for customs data in Daru, Western Province. The new system, called the Asikuda World, is the first online clearance and accounting system for PNG Customs in the country. Daru is now the 18th border port to have this system successfully installed. Other customs ports have successfully implemented this system. However, for Vanimo, it is yet to be implemented because of outstanding infrastructure issues at the Wutung border post. Meanwhile, Kiunga, Tabubil and Manus are the next ports for the Asikuda World rollout. You're with Wednesday's news. We have more of today's other stories when we come back from this break. Welcome back. India is set to help Papua New Guinea in electoral training and technologies ahead of the 2022 National General Election. Chief Election Commissioner of India, Sunil Arora, met with National Planning Minister Richard Maru in New Delhi yesterday. Arora said India is ready and able to assist PNG. The PNG government wants technology transfer to move from manual voting and counting to electronic voting and counting in the 2022 national elections. This visit to India's Election Commission follows an initial meeting in 2017 between PNG's Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato and the Chief Election Commissioner of India. Local level government presidents from Southern Highlands Province are calling on Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato to step down from his office before the LLG elections next month. The presidents attributed this to a decision by Waigani National Court in November last year, convicting Gamato of contempt of court.
The Electoral Commissioner was convicted for not following court orders from the Supreme Court Reference 3 of 2013 to conduct by-elections for the 22 failed local level governments in the 6 Highlands provinces. Mr. Gamato filed a Supreme Court reference 2 weeks ago for the higher court to interpret the National Court's conviction and the Electoral Commission's decision not to conduct the by-election when of such by-elections are prohibited by Section 106A of the Constitution. However, the LLG presidents say he should respect and vacate the constitutional office to set precedent since he was already convicted.
Yet he must resign and stop aside. Now you finish in court, suppose you win in court, you can come back and walk, something long government law now.
The LLG presidents feared that Gamato has caused constitutional crisis by being convicted and at the same time occupying the office. They also feared the LLG president election will likely be declared fail again by court since Gamato was already convicted of contempt of court.
Electoral Commissioner no been on him good as the country. Problem long, regional member, urban member, even member of council, president,
The special Supreme Court reference 3 of 2013 was filed by the Western Highlands Provincial Executive Council of EC's decision to fail the 22 LLGs in the 6 Highlands provinces of widespread election-related violence and vote rigging. The 6 provinces are Southern Highlands, Enga, Hela, Western Highlands, Jiwaka and Chimbu.
Please have respect for that chair. Leave another person to take up your space. Make some better decisions for this country. You don't know this country. Have some respect for us. I think you are already causing inconveniences to many parts of this country.
They are also calling on the Electoral Commission to appoint an election manager to conduct the LLG elections in Southern Highlands Province. Vastinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Former Member of Parliament Matthew Siune passed away on Sunday, 24th March. He was first elected Premier of Simbu from 1980 to 1985 and was a long-serving member of the Provincial Assembly from 1980 to 1995 until the provincial government system was abolished. From 2002 to 2007, he was member for Kundiawa Gembog. During his tenure, he was the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Minister for Agriculture and Livestock, and Minister for Labour and Industrial Relations. Some notable developments he initiated include the Kundiawa Town water supply, the provincial headquarter building, and the resurrection of the National Agriculture Bank to the current National Development Bank. The country will now be able to effectively address the issue of food security and good nutrition. This comes after the introduction of the One Health Country program by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, together with the Department of Agriculture and Livestock. In a roundtable discussion today to collect views from various stakeholders, FAO PNG head Ken Shimizu said One Health is an opportunity for all sectors to work together to address food security.
Today saw various stakeholders from the World Health Organization, National Department of Health, and officers from government and non-government organizations all attended to have their say on the One Health Country program. The One Health Country program is formulated under the Food and Agriculture Organization Project Agreement on strengthening One Health approaches for Asia-Pacific countries. The program aims to improve food safety and nutrition.
It is important for PNG to have One Health Country plan. And once it's rolled out, PNG will be in a better position to have some basic line data to be used for further surveillance, awareness, raising issues in provinces and rural communities.
FAO Lead Technical Advisor Srita Damapuri said the One Health program has been in use in most Asian countries and is found to be useful in improving food safety and nutrition. He said use of chemicals and bad market conditions are a threat to good food productions and consumers' health, and using One Health approaches will minimize the risk of contracting diseases.
The WHO came out with a very important report in 2015 where they actually looked at the estimated number of foodborne illnesses in various parts and regions of the world, and also the causes. And they actually said almost 1 in 10 persons around the world is actually affected by a foodborne illness.
In rolling out the One Health program in the country, FAO PNG has already put together a country plan. FAO PNG Technical Advisor Dr. Nime Kapo said the plan is to ensure better outcomes for food safety and nutrition by addressing prudent usage of medicines and pesticides in livestock and agriculture.
So in terms of this One Health Country plan, we tried to find an entry point into harnessing this opportunity that we've had under the One Health Regional Initiative. And with all these discussions that have been going on, we've come up with this theme, ensuring better outcomes for food safety, nutrition, and antimicrobial resistance by addressing prudent usage of veterinary medicines, as well as agrochemicals and pesticides.
The One Health Country program will be rolled out in the country once all consultations and discussions with various stakeholders are completed. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
The University of Papua New Guinea today launched a new library system, Working in partnership with SoftLink International, the university launched the Liberty Automated Library Management System at the Sir Michael Somare Library. This software system will help students locate resources relevant to their studies, as well as broaden their research bases.
The Liberty Automated Library Management System is a leading-edge software that is used in libraries in other universities like University of Goroka and Divine University. Today, this system was launched at the Sir Michael Somare Library in the University of Papua New Guinea.
So imagine this is your phone screen.
According to the Technical Service Manager of SoftLink International, Sarah Thompson, as long as staff and students have an internet connection, they can access this library system and search for resources with their smartphones or laptops.
So Liberty 5 is library management software, so it's implemented now in UPNG. It's going to save them a lot of time. Basically means a lot of their tasks are going to be automated, and it puts information for the university at the students' fingertips. They can access online on their mobile devices and at 24/7. So the library is basically now going to be available for them at the university, at home, in the outer campuses, the other provinces.
While highlighting the functions of the university, UPNG Acting Vice Chancellor Professor Kenneth Sombuk says library is an important aspect in the delivery of knowledge.
Our students' performance and our academics' delivery of the academic programs, because it makes it easier for them to have access to the library facilities and the books and the journals that are stored in our library.
This system does not only give access to resources books in the library, but also to e-books, electronic notes and databases. An addition of the system is that the library staff can check online to see if books are on loan or available for borrowing, and they can also do stock takes with the Liberty system. The university's librarian Leah Calamoro says outdated books should be a thing of the past, and this new system will greatly assist both staff and students.
It will help us in many ways of how to roll out our resources to the users. And our primary aim of the university is to provide information services to the staff and students of this university. And also for the staff, it would help us to create proper records of the system, proper records of the library.
Patricia Chiamo, National EMTV News.
A young man is dead following a fight that broke between two groups in Lay's Busarum compound last week Sunday. The groups met to arrange for the repatriation of another young man's body who was killed 2 weeks ago over a disagreement about the ownership of a small crocodile. Police reports state that there were retaliation attacks following this, and police have implicated those suspected of killing the young man. Whilst a mediation was being held, another fight broke out. On Monday, Lay Police Boss Anthony Wagambi Jr. spoke with the community urging cooperation with police and allow them to deal with the case. He said the problem has affected school children, mothers and a large population of the workforce that live in the area. He added that criminal matters will be dealt by police. However, they will need support from community leaders to restore normalcy in the community. One criminal was shot dead while 6 suspects escaped from an armed robbery at Kujip in Jiwaka province on Monday morning. Police say the criminals were dressed in full PNG Defence Force issued uniforms and were armed with high-powered weapons. The public responded quickly and attacked the criminals before police intervened. EMTV News is warning our audience some live scenes in this next story may cause some distress.
The incident occurred on the morning of April 25th at an Asian-owned store at Kujip in Jiwaka province along the Okuk Highway. 7 men pretending to be PNG Defence Force soldiers walked into the Asian-owned store demanded 2 Chinese men their passports and visas to prove their legality in the country. According to police, the 2 Chinese men invited them into their office to present their documents when they were attacked by the criminals. The 7 men walked out of the office pretending that nothing had happened when bystanders noticed their suspicious movements and alerted the public that an armed robbery had happened. The criminals were dressed in full PNGDF uniforms and were armed with factory-made pistols and few high-powered rifles. The crowd started throwing sticks and stones at the criminals when they retaliated and opened fire into the crowd. That was when the police intervened and shot one of the criminals when he fled for his life, running towards Kujip Hospital. Police will conduct a further investigation into the armed robbery as well as on the PNGDF issued uniforms and firearms. The PNG Defence Force Engineering Battalion in Barnes was alerted of the incident and will assist police for further investigations. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
You're at National EMTV News. We take a look at stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, links to the alleged Christchurch terrorists have been discovered on the outside of the world. It comes as the New Zealand government reveals their spy agencies are placing extra scrutiny on people of interest in New Zealand.
This is Austria's flourishing far-right movement, the latest connection to the Christchurch shooting. Austrian group leader Martin Sellner's home was raided by police and electronics seized after authorities discovered a substantial donation believed to be from the alleged Christchurch terrorist. Sellner took to his YouTube page to defend himself.
In the
YouTube videos, Martin Sellner gives conflicting accounts of when the donation was made. He said he didn't personally know the Christchurch gunmen and said they had only communicated via email. He said he would have tried to talk him out of the attacks.
I think you've got to be a little suspicious of whatever is said from these groups. I mean, what they're trying to do is manage their impression in the media, and so they're going to say things that make them appear less than extreme than they might.
A Kiwi expert in far-right movement says he's not surprised the links have appeared internationally.
The thing that's changed in the last 10 years is the use of the online sites, but also the internationalisation of what I would call an ecosystem. So it's an ecosystem for people who believe in white supremacy around the world.
Far-right groups here say they are heading underground due to the scrutiny they are now receiving.
My experience is these groups disband and disappear, but then they reform, and to think that somehow the far-right, the white supremacist right, is going to disappear is just daydreaming, really.
I've heard what some other people have heard publicly. I haven't heard that from the agencies themselves. They have a job to do.
Andrew Little's also revealed new surveillance has begun since the March 15 attacks.
There is newly warranted activity that is taking place to deal with the issues and the aftermath of the 15th of March. I don't want to go into numbers and details of that.
But Paul Spooney says much of the chatter will be online within secret groups.
The sheer volume of the material, it really is a difficult task for our intelligence agencies to keep an eye on what's happening. So my sympathy with them.
And he predicts that as intelligence agencies keep digging, more international links will appear.
The United Nations is calling for calm after Israel carried out more airstrikes on dozens of Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip. It's in response to rocket fire from Palestine, which now claims to have fired at least 30 new rockets onto Israel from Gaza.
A sleepless night in Gaza, with dozens of Israeli airstrikes pounding buildings said to belong to the Strip's militant rulers, Hamas. Meanwhile, barrages of Palestinian rockets were fired at nearby Israeli towns. Locals desperately taking cover as the Iron Dome defense system was put to use. frantic international efforts are underway to broker a ceasefire.
We continue to work with Egypt and all concerned parties to try to de-escalate the situation and again encourage restraint. Further escalation is likely to make an already bad situation worse, in particular for civilians in and close to Gaza.
This morning in Gaza, people surveying the destruction, with Israeli drones humming overhead. This is where the office of the Hamas leader was hit. And in Sderot, in southern Israel, this man began cleaning up his home, hit by a rocket. People in Sderot are now taking advantage of the calm to do some shopping, but schools here are shut and some offices as well. It's the same in Israeli villages close by and in Gaza too. There's a lot of nervousness as everyone waits to see what happens next. More Israeli tanks rolling in, and extra soldiers are also being deployed in the south. Israel wants to show it's keeping its military options open. This is meant as a show of force.
Prince Charles and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, have made history. They are the first members of the royal family to make an official trip to Cuba. The couple has met with the Cuban president in a bid to help Britain develop close links with the communist country.
In the Palace of the Revolution in Havana, a ceremonial welcome. On the left, the president, who is taking Cuba into the post-Castro era. President Miguel Diaz-Canel took over last year, and last night he and Prince Charles sat down for talks. Pleasantries rather than politics, but the very fact that Charles is here at all is a clear sign that Britain wants to build a relationship with Cuba, and a visit by the heir to the British throne undoubtedly helps. Royal visits aren't so much about detail, that's all left to the politicians. These visits are all about striking the right note and creating the right ambience. And here in Cuba, that means connecting with some of the things for which Cuba is famous. Ballet is one thing at which Cubans excel. Charles and Camilla visited a ballet school run by Carlos Acosta, formerly principal guest artist at the Royal Ballet in London. Does he, a Cuban, think his country is changing?
I think Cuba has been open now, consistently for a long time. There is a sense of evolving at a Cuban pace, but we're getting there. There definitely is more openness.
Cuba, a country moving with great care to balance old ways with new imperatives and find a new place in the world.
Up next, we'll bring you some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Ase Boas's return to Papua New Guinea is a blessing for the SPPNG Hunters, with the former captain named in the starting lineup this weekend. Ase is replacing William Mone, who has failed to impress coach Michael Marum in the 3 losses the team has suffered.
With the SPPNG Hunters team struggling to find their form, the recent release of Boas by the Featherstone Rovers is a blessing for the SPPNG Hunters. The former Intra-Super Cup Premiership winning captain is named in the halfback position for the Hunters Round 4 match against the East Tigers this weekend in Brisbane. He wasn't at training yesterday, but was in training on Monday, and is expected to return from Kokopo and be part of the travelling team.
Yeah, he trained yesterday before he went to the ball. He's back tomorrow, so he's been registered QRL, so he'll be on that flight down to Brisbane. So we just gave him a early call back just for a bit more direction in the game.
Coach Michael Marum is breathing a sigh of relief after a poor performance by halfback William Mone. Ase's inclusion is a step in the positive.
William Mone, Nikiasu, again, we've given them enough game time. So yeah, our 3 tries scored through on that edge where William and Junior were defending. So they were just soft tries.
Asa's experience in the intra-Super Cup level sees the Kumu's vice-captain knowledgeable about the game, and his observation during the weekend's loss, he is certain to fix the team's halfback issues.
He was on the sideline with me, and yeah, I think he knows where we went wrong, and when I was sending messages out, he's a sort of player that understands the game a bit more. He can read the plays, and for him to be on the left side, he'll be playing on the left side where Watson normally plays. So
Asa has been in camp, and coach Michael Marum says he is stepping back into his role as senior player and mentor to the rookies in camp.
And he's come around to camp and he's been talking to a lot of the boys. So yeah, he'll be good for us over the long run. Yeah.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
The PRK Gulf ISO Rugby League team is gearing up for another grueling year in the Intercity Cup competition. They are 11 days away from playing their first match against Enga Miox at the Osage National Football Stadium.
Despite the PRK Gulf ISO's horrendous start to last year's pre-season camp, they have kicked off this year's pre-season on a high. They have had 15 weeks of training and have finalized their 34-member team. Positive signs were shown in recent weeks in their trial matches against other rugby league clubs. This year, they aim to make it into the top 5 and hopefully to the finals playoff.
We want to do well, come start of the competition and kick-off time. We want to say today that we aim to do our best, and having set that goal, we want to work towards achieving that this year. And we believe we can do it. We are confident that we can get there.
Today, the team received 125,000 kina from Prima Small Goods. This is the second year Prima has sponsored the team. Prima Small Goods National Sales and Marketing Manager Kola Gary says with this sponsorship, they hope it will further develop the team and the different programs they have.
This year we want to see the guys actually moving forward and make some impact in the competition.
According to coach Norris Selu, the team is looking sharper than ever with only a few issues to brush up on. They've had a tough pre-season and are ready to take on the 2019 Intercity Cup competition.
When you really want to put that together, this year looks very, very good for us. The boys are prepared. They're giving their 100% from day one, and hopefully, I think you can actually see the signs when they play the first game here in 7th of April against Enga Miox. So I think that will be the telling factor, and then that should set the foundation for what's going to happen for this season.
Though it will be tough, they hope to not only make the top 5, but to also produce a few SP Hunters prospects.
Trying to develop players to become hunters. So if we've had a potential from last year with 2 boys getting in there, hopefully this year we try to top it up, make it better by at least 3 of our boys, hopefully joining the ranks of the hunters at the end of the season. Yeah.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
We'll have another story on the Hunters after the break. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. 3 SPPNG Hunters players have breached the team's protocol. The 3 players didn't turn up back in camp after the team's 3rd loss against the Sunshine Coast Falcons on Sunday. The players have been sidelined from this weekend's match.
It was not the change expected after scoring a hat-trick on Sunday.
We got changes in the lineup. I think the obvious ones are Joshua played well last weekend, I think the week before. And turned up for training.
Joshua was not the only player who missed Monday training. There were another 2 players who also spent the night outside of camp, but Joshua didn't give an explanation on his whereabouts, and the coach is still looking for him.
A big night Sunday, and only turned up last night, I think, in camp, and he hasn't returned to training. So again, I haven't been informed of his whereabouts, so I've asked the team manager to go and talk to him. Mackenzie and Junior Rob, same thing, didn't turn up for a recovery session Monday, which is really, really important for us, medicals after games. So and only turn up for training this morning. So yeah, it's sad to see, but the discipline has to be there. So
Mackenzie Ye and Junior Rope explained their absence, but the disappointed coach Michael Marum didn't accept the explanation, sidelining the 3 players from this weekend's Intra-Super Cup Round 4 match against the East Tigers in Brisbane.
I spoke briefly to Mackenzie and Junior Rope this morning. They just told me they were just at home with the family, and to us that's just not good enough. We put the team first, so that's just 1 week.
Marum is yet to come up with a final penalty for the trio, with sidelining them the first step.
And there's a fine involved, so yeah. So normally you got first warning, second warning, so they'll be getting letters.
With the 3 straight losses and now with the disciplinary issues, the coach and the wider public are not taking things lightly.
Everyone else, the supporters especially and the sponsors too, they probably, since the team is not doing well, so we need to, tighten up on those sort of areas, the attitude of the players.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
High Performance Unit Manager Cornelius Papau says the first quarter of the year has been busy getting national athletes ready for this year's Pacific Games in Samoa. Services provided at the High Performance Centre include strength and conditioning, physiotherapy, education on nutrition and hydration.
We are one of the organized divisions in the PNG Sport Foundation. It's very working tirelessly throughout the last first quarter of the year in preparing athletes to the Pacific Games and also other events during the year. So we have seen that a lot of athletes and coaches, I think the long-term preparation for them in coming to high performance and utilizing the service is very, very important for the people of the performance and for them to perform well when during the events. Very important for our young leaders, especially the athletes going for the Pacific Games in Samoa, to understand the quality of leadership and what it really means. Pretty much in sporting terms, they'll really be leading a team to win gold for Papua New Guinea.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Few showers in Port Moresby, Kerema, Alotau, Popondetta and showers in Daru. In the Mamasa region, few showers in Lae and Wau and mostly fine weather in Medang, Wewak and Whanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, showers in Kavieng, Kokopora, Bau and Kimbe and rain showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, few showers, then morning fog right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabag.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, 27th of March 2019. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.